Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see all of you. And this is a really special evening with the creative class to bring you all together these four different works by Black male choreographers, and then also to see my young brothers here who are going to be moderators and ask us questions is just a perfect holiday gift, in my opinion. We are going to start this with each work. We'll show the work and then we'll follow with a Q&A for that work with the choreographer and one of our young brothers being the moderator. So that's four works. And then at the end, we'll all come back in this way where you see everyone and we'll just have another discussion answering some more overarching questions. So we hope you enjoy this program.
My name is Billy Hawkins. I'm a choreographer, I'm a dancer and writer. I'm located in the United States in North Carolina. And I am so excited that I get this chance to sit down with the David Blake, who is an awesome visionary, choreographer, and absolutely so much more. David, good evening, and how are you?
Hi, Billy. I am well. I'm extremely happy to be here. Thank you to Dwayne Cyrus for creating a space for all the choreographers to share their work and to engage with each other.
Yeah, so before we begin, I just have to say thank you so much for such a profound and dynamic work. I'm so excited that this work exists and that the world gets to witness all of this. And so, but before we dive deep into the work, I want to talk about the title, Melanin Migration, Brothers in Arms. Where did that come from and what is the meaning of that name?
Well, as I was speaking to Dwayne Cyrus about this actually, I said to him that I created this piece in the Lion King studio, and it was a work with a group of men from the company. Um, we, as you know, in the show, the men are the hyenas, for example. So they're constantly fighting with the women, with the lionesses, and so they're always lifting. So there was never a moment for them to actually engage with each other personally, right? So I wanted to create a space for them to work with each other. So I created like lifts and ways in which they can interact in a more, personal way, because normally they're interacting with the women in group numbers. And so I created a short piece, a short work that I posted on Instagram. And a few people responded and they said, "Oh my God, David, this looks really good, really great." And I think people were probably more attuned to it because of what was happening in the early part of the pandemic with the Black Lives Matter. And one person said, "David, you need to create a much bigger work around this." And so I sent it to a group of people and I got back a lot of really favorable responses. One person responded by saying, "This is Brothers in Arms." And I was like, "Brothers in Arms? That's very, very interesting. I like that kind of name." And then I was speaking to someone else and I said, in this piece, they have so many different representation from countries. You have people from the Caribbean, you have people from America, you have people from Latin America, and also Europe involved in this piece. And I said, how about creating a work around migration, looking at these people coming from like different countries? And then I said, I said, what is one of the things that kind of brings them together? And someone said the color of their skin.
Mm.
But when you look at them, they're all of either black or mixed race heritage. And so this guy said, how about we call it melanin? And I said, well, we could then call it Melanin Migration Brothers in Arms. And that's exactly how the title of that work came about.
Wow, it sounds like the title matched the actual work. It's a journey. The
Right.
way to get to the title was a journey. That's amazing. And every time I see this work, this is the second time that I've seen this work. There are so many messages that come to me, messages about strength and the will and the want to endure and see the other side of reality or the current circumstances. I'm wondering, you as the visionary and as the choreographer, what would you say is the message of this work?
The message of this work, Billy, is about brotherhood, yeah, friendship, support, community, networking, how to leverage your abilities to create your future, and how to work beyond the landscape of dance.
Wow. Yeah. And I would imagine that given that this work includes men literally all from all over the world, that this process was probably none like none other. So invite us into that studio space. What was the creative process like, and like, how did you create this dynamic body of work?
Well, I just want to start off by just telling you what Melanie Migration Brothers Arms is about. And it's a journey of six professional male dancers navigating the devastating impact of COVID-19 on the theater industry here in the UK. It is inspired by their personal stories. The piece is a critical element of a much larger work that we're doing because it's actually a multi layered project that involves the piece, but also professional development in financial literacy, psychological well being. And it also involves a documentary that we're also creating at this time that we want to produce next year. But, in terms of the work, I had a conversation. I want to start off with this. I had a conversation with one of the dancers that I've actually trained over the years before he actually got into Lion King tour, and he was explaining to me that he was really down about what was happening because this was his first job, his first professional job, and the uncertainty of when we're going to go back to work, and also the fact that he's here from another country without any family. And then he started to think about the dreams and goals that he had set up for himself, and he never even achieved any of them yet. And I asked him what was one of his goals, and he said to me, I want to buy a house. And he said, at this point in my life, I don't even know what's the first step in owning a home. And I thought that was something that was very, very important, because as an artist, you know Billy, in the curriculum in school, they don't really teach you life skills. They don't really teach you about self management. And so, as an artist, you're really left to kind of fend for yourself when you start your career. There's no one to kind of guide you through, your journey as a professional artist. And so, I remember speaking to Dwayne Saros and saying to him, look, I'm doing this project, and I would love for you to come in to provide a class in career strategic management, for example. And he was willing to do that. And I also did that, contacted all my other colleagues within my industry to have them come on board to support the men for this work. And so, we started out by having discussions in the studio. That was a huge factor. Each day we would come into the space, we would talk about, themes on fear, anxiety, hope, faith. Um, each person shared their personal stories, and they also shared how they were impacted by COVID-19 and seeing those images of the Black Lives Matter during that time. And so we came together, we created the work through improvisation. We created a movement vocabulary that we could identify with and that we wanted to bring forth that was fresh and unique. So that's how we created our process.
Yeah, it sounds like these group of men you included were not just in this process dancing. You all were learning so much more. Financial literacy you brought up, being great leaders in the society today. That's amazing. And because I think a lot of people really don't really know what it means to be an artist. So what would you say? To the people who are watching tonight, what would you say is the meaning of an artist?
Well, Billy, the definition is constantly changing for me. When you think of the definition, is a person who is skilled at a particular task or a particular occupation. But for me, during this time, it means being adaptable, versatile, seizing an opportunity and expanding on it. Dwayne Saris and I talk about ownership, another important concept to explore. I have been reflecting on a lot of these things during this time, and post this pandemic we will all need to navigate, and being equipped with those skills and that understanding is important. We'll need to adjust to whatever conditions are out there, and I think we will need to have multiple uses and be able to you know adapt to different circumstances.
Mhm. You know, I read a article earlier today that was talking about artists in the midst of this global pandemic that we are all experiencing, and it talked about artists, whether being professional artists or not, that we have become the quote unofficial essential workers of this pandemic, helping this nation recover and kind of get back to a sense of health and security. Do you feel like you've taken on that position in this particular time?
Oh, absolutely. I see myself in the men that are part of this project, and I use my experience, and I share it with them because I think it's important that they understand. I have been in this show for 14 years, and you know, having that kind of experience and seeing myself grow over the years, I'm able to like pass on certain skills, certain experiences that they can help to navigate their professional and personal lives. I mean, I think it's important as leaders, as mentors, that we engage with the future generation and that we continue to give back. So I find myself during this time as someone who is able to share and inspire and encourage.
Hmm. You know, I'm so happy, and I'm so thankful to see so many artists, right? Because we were affected in so many ways by this global pandemic. But I'm so excited to see so many artists still working, still being creative, and listening to the creative voices. But to that artist or that creative who may be struggling to find their creative voice or still be creative, what advice would you give them, seeing that you are one who is continuing to find that creativity in this particular time?
I would say to them, don't confuse where you are with who you are. That, COVID-19 can really cause you to be a bit insecure and a bit uncertain and a bit anxious about a lot of things in your life. But we are artists. We have an insatiable capacity to create. Don't be afraid to do that. There is an aspect in each and every one of us that is limitless. And if you tap into that, the possibilities are endless. And don't forget that the body is a vessel to tell your story.
Mm, the body is a vessel to tell your story. That's good. That's good right there. Okay, one more thing, and then I know we have to end. So the focus for tonight's evening with the creative class is Black men creating dance with purpose. What is David Blake's purpose?
My purpose, as I said to you earlier, is to inspire and to motivate. I want to create a legacy that can be passed on from generation to generation. This work that I'm doing now, I'm so happy that I have the time to do this because I think it's important. But what's more interesting about this process is that this is not just for me and it's not just about me. It's about all these men, all these talented, gifted men that we can all come together to share in this space. It wasn't easy at the beginning because there are so many of them that were saying, "Oh, it's difficult to kind of work with black men or being able to be open in the space," And it was such a learning curve for me. But as I as I navigate the space, as I begin to unpick and unpack, my life and my experiences, I realize that we have so much in common. We have so much in common. And that, COVID-19 leveled the playing field. It leveled the playing field so quickly. In our show, we have principals, we have ensemble. Everybody was on the same level, right? There was nobody above anyone. And it gave us a chance to really sit down and reflect on who we are, yes, where we are, and where we want to be.
Wow. Well, I am certainly thankful for all that you have done and all that you are going to do. I say congratulations to the things that are in store for you. And I'm definitely looking forward to the documentary. I can't wait to experience yet another, what I know is going to be transformative in many ways. So thank you so much. And yeah, keep going.
Thank you, Billy. You're great. Thank you.
Charles W. David is a military hero. He was a Coast Guardsman and Steward's Mate First Class who served on board the United States Coast Guard cutter Comanche on North Atlantic convoy duty during World War II. On the night of February 3, 1943, the U.S. Army transport ship, the USS Dorchester, was torpedoed by a German U-boat off the coast of Greenland. When the Comanche and other ships came to the aid of the survivors of the Dorchester struggling in the frigid water, David was one of the few Comanche crewmen who volunteered to dive overboard to help rescue those in need. David died a few days later from pneumonia contracted during his heroic efforts to save the stricken survivors of the Dorchester. Charles W. David Jr. was posthumously awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his bravery, and in 2013, a fast response Coast Guard cutter was commissioned in his honor in Key West, Florida. Accessing the legacy of Coast Guardsman Charles W. David Jr. is my way of paying tribute to this important part of our history. Through scholarly and creative research, as well as community engagement and education, the goal is to ensure that stories like this one will continue to be told.
Question remains, what does a black man look like? Tall, bold, every single color of the rainbow wrapped together as one. The thing that holds the sun and the stars in the sky. Pain, frustration, love. A black man looks like love.
Hero does whatever needs to be done. Chooses to be the chosen one, doesn't worry about songs sung, just rights wrongs done to those who do without justice. To those who do what they must, this hero doesn't worry about slurs or hate about gay, straight. The only label that matters to him is human, even though they would fight to keep him below them, he showed them what the hero looks like.
Paint my future. The colors and my thoughts be in my hand, and I place them on this beautiful canvas. Sometimes the one part I drift away the paint, but paint the stars on my painting again. Paint the picture again. Paint the clouds on my painting again, because I paint the future.
There are 2 reasons why. They only fact that matters. You know, we see death, a hood, and the truth, anything on earth. Love is the whole, because life, how it not in existence is important simply for things to live. Too much to do and not enough happiness. If you need, you have to look hard at, some of us have to work hard at things better after the exercise. Now, this is from the Holy Three, Allah, or whatever Tom Cruise believes in prayer. Get that God's gifts usually come in human form, like my best friend. You hit me, he hit back, told us each other on the bottom. That was my goal. From practice to draft, there was the day when balling for things. Always these females, they used to dirty coming off the stage. They fought females on the stage. You can't use them unless I can use the V2, any crew, any day, any time, on land, on mine. When we get together, loosely connected, like we've known each other since so right out. No matter if you're trying to drain you of your, they're real because fake friends kill, and you're gonna have to learn. A lot of them will blow slow, try to blow, don't have spine. Beware this behind your friends, fight beside you, that's the game. And fight is still in caution, it gives me a little time because I try to I don't talk for a little loud. Someone in the office because I'm floored at like 13. I'm paranoid, you agree that. I just want to listen to the album I shared with my best friend. If I ever go out in the vehicle, I chase that thing because it's the same one that he listened to when he tried to leave his ride or die driving alone while he danced with the devil. Walked through the valley of the shadow of death, feared no evil, put the music to his ear like only one headphone worked, juke jammed to the sound of an empty clip, would write the only thing going through his mind, and I don't know what saved him. What dug him out when he caved in, but I'm sorry it wasn't me. It won't happen again because I'll never forget. I just hope you forget. Oh, there's 13 reasons why you should live.
everyone. I'm Devonté Wells of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm excited to be here. I am a educator in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school systems and a regional actor who's traveled into New York City as far down as to Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm excited to be here to speak with the director of Theater of Movement, Mr. Dwayne Cyrus, who I've had the pleasure to work with in the past. And I'm excited to jump right in on these questions. And I would just want to say we appreciate you for this platform. It's such a great way to unite Black artists and males on this platform specifically. So I'll jump right in. With one of your works, Hero Complexities, you stated that each iteration had a different sort of presentation or was configured differently. My question is, how did each iteration inform the next step in the process of the work?
Mhm. So the thing is, Devontae, and thank you for that. It's always a pleasure to see you leading as well. I appreciate seeing you like that. Devontae, it's important for me as a creative artist to find ways that dance can continue to be delivered. So, theaters these days, the cost of being in a theater, of producing dance work, is prohibitive. And so I am committed to developing work that is malleable, that can fit into different places, can go different locations. So Hero Complexities has gone to Antigua, as you know, and enjoyed that trip. Antigua, we have performed it in museums. We've taken the work and performed it in studio settings as well as proscenium spaces. And so creating the work in that way helps me learn more about it rather than just making the work and then saying the creative process is over and somehow the work is then fixed and you don't see any change in it anymore. We keep letting the work tell us what it is, so we keep learning from the work. So in
Yeah.
essence, the choreographic process continues. So it's continuing from the ideation to and through the delivery of the work.
Awesome, awesome. And a follow up for that, maybe hopefully it doesn't catch you off guard, but is there one in particular that maybe spoke to you a different way or maybe gave you some nuggets as far as how you would go back in the studio to rework the choreography?
That's a good one. There's more than one, so I
Or
can't just do one. So when we first took the work down to Antigua the first time, we went twice, right? When we took the work the first time, and it was just you, Devontae Tanner, and Melvin Sutton. And we performed it for that audience. Antigua is my home island, my family island. And that work is about a family member. That work is about my uncle Charles W. David Jr. So the connection to be able to do that and share that work on the island was really important and helped invest it further for me. The other was when we started working with this concept of black, like black, the costumes became all black because they weren't always all black.
right.
Something about that really helped shift the work in the visual design of it.
Amazing, amazing. One of the other things, specifically with um, you know our modern day society and the pandemic, how do you look to embrace the maybe not the boundaries or maybe the newness of our reality and because we want to try to stop seeing COVID-19 as such a hindrance as we're moving forward. I'd say, how are you embracing the changes within the professional industry?
Savante, I'm with you on that. First of all, I don't want to continue to see COVID-19 as a hindrance. So you are right. And I'm looking at this moment as an embrace. So how blessed I feel to be able to create this platform where all of these amazing brothers, gentlemen that I know from different points in my career, to see all of their work and then create this platform where folks like you who are coming behind us are also showing your talents and abilities. So to me, COVID-19 creates an opening, a doorway for more. This virtual platform where we're presenting dance in this way, I don't see it stopping after COVID-19. Yes, y'all will come to the theater and see the show live because there's nothing like that, but then we'll also be virtual. So I just see it as a an avenue, an opportunity.
Nice, nice. And so I guess I get to be fangirl for a moment. When we were in Antigua, I remember we were getting ready to go on stage and things like that. And the announcer announced the work and tell a little bit about the work. But she said something specific, and it was presenting Mr. Dwayne Cyrus. So, I mean, maybe you don't see yourself in this light anymore, but at what point in your career did you know that, you know, this was for you, what you're doing now, sharing the gift of dance and building and cultivating more entrepreneurs within the field? And also, what helps you keep going at this point? And what's next for you?
All right. So those are a few questions in there. So I'm gonna try and get them. That's good. I got you. I got you. You keep me going. So you keep me going. So it's very important to recognize that. So when you said like, what point did I realize? I don't know. It was ongoing because there was someone that mentored me, Alfred Gallman. You know, among many others. I had many teachers, but I shout for Alfred because Alfred saw me and helped mentor me to become the artist that I am. So I can't hold on to that. I have to give it back. And so you and seeing you grow from high school, I'm gonna embarrass you, from high school when you was twirling in high school, to seeing you perform in musical theater, dancing in my work, singing, doing all the stuff that you do. That's the thing that motivates me. I think you said something about what's next. I think that now is what's next. Right now is what we're doing now is what's next. So I'm paying attention to legacy because that is important so that I can act in the present for the future that I believe we should all have. So
amazing. I mean, really prolific. Thank you so much. I'm excited and I'm so honored to be a part of the legacy. And I'm really here for the long haul and I can't wait to see what's in store.
Thank you, Devonté.
Thank you.
To participate in these clinical trials, to do this in a humane way.
In America, place your ring on my cock, where it belongs. Long may we to free this
Hi, everybody. My name's Devonté Tanner. I hail from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm originally from Henderson, North Carolina. I currently work here in Greensboro in HIV testing and counseling and referrals. And I have the pleasure of chatting with and introducing Brotherhood Dance, who are Orlando and Ricardo. And so we'll just get right into it. We just witnessed their piece, well, an excerpt of a longer piece. But so my first question that I have for you all, how does working as a pair influence, and how does it either hinder or discourage your artistry and your work making?
I think in terms of, I don't think there's a hindrance at all. I think because we work very well in collaboration. I think we really have honed in on our differences, understanding like what we bring to brotherhood. You know, what do we bring into the space, whether that's on the dance floor or off of the dance floor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so I come with photography as along with the dance practice, and then just being a big researcher, we really like to use that to engage our work and really offer that to folks.
So it's safe to say that it helps more than hurts.
Yeah, I think our mission is really in thinking about togetherness and how that breaks down capitalist ideas of individualism.
I mean, we also do give space for each other to be individuals, so that we can come back together as a whole person and then create something for others to witness and take part in.
Great. So, as far as it relates to the piece, my second question was, how has your artistry, in all of your artistries, been plagued, and how have you survived them, or how are you surviving them if you are?
How have our works been plagued? A lot of people will say, because we don't work out of, the traditional model of grant making or grant writing and getting the monies, then making the work. We really work from our intuition and spirit. And so I think if you want to say plagued, I think we've been plagued with working in spirit, and saying, if we have the will to produce something or create something, we don't let anything stand in our way. So I think if anything has been plagued, we've been plagued with the idea of our strong will and creativity and
being resourceful.
Yeah.
Not allowing or relying on institution or external forces just to stop us from what we want to do. We have everything within us and around us to create what we want to create. So it's just about really being intentional about who we're creating for and why.
So do you feel like you have survived said plagues?
We here.
I mean, we got two Bessies, so we definitely survived something.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, we definitely, it's very much like if you really want to go far, you go together with someone. And so being able to just be alive right now and survive so far at the pandemic together has really been a blessing, and really just wanting to see what we can create for, the future that we are envisioning.
What she say on Color Purple? I may be black, I may even be ugly, but dear God, I'm here.
Amen to that. So my last question that I have for you, as far also as it relates to the work. So how do you feel like the work influences the messaging around HIV and AIDS, not only in your own area, but globally as well? Like, what do you feel like this piece is bringing to that message, if anything at all?
I think it's bringing a movement love letter to our brothers globally.
And sisters.
Because they are definitely in the conversation of HIV AIDS, being so much a caretaker to also being someone who may be living and thriving with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely really extending off of the love and reverence that we give for our ancestors who, done the work for us to get here, to really tell a vibrant story of our lives living with HIV. So I think that's what it's been on a global impact, because it's also started from Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
doing this kind of research work.
Mm-hmm. Thinking about how the Black body has been stigmatized, and where it started, and knowing the history of that, and being able to situate ourselves within that history to tell a story that affects Black bodies globally, which is something we really wanted to drive home while we were creating the piece, because we know it's not only something that affects folks in the US.
And that's really interesting and that was part of the reason why I brought up location, because you all are in New York, and of course I'm in North Carolina, and even from state to state, the messaging is different.
Exactly.
Whether or not you're working in the field or, a patient in the field, it's all very different. And I've been blessed to have what we've now called the seat at the table, because I go to a lot of these meetings and trainings where it's all about, well, how can we, stop the stigma? How can we better cater to our patients? But it's none of the target population that's at the table. So now I've become that person that I'm like, no, no, no. I'm in the community. I know what's happening. I can, give you more of a voice than you all, given I do know that, some people are more comfortable and they open up and leave those things. But it's great to know that globally, worldwide, we still can somehow find a way to relate to the message and to still push it out, so that we're still, fighting this fight together and not alone.
Absolutely. I mean, doing this work, we understand that, the lack of resource in a community builds stigma. So within the Black community right now, within Latino communities, Latinx communities, we don't receive a lot of the health funding. So then what kind of stigma will that bring to our communities if we're staying sick or staying, in a state of dis-ease?
And just, I guess, trying to make HIV become more of a around the table conversation, just as having a cold or COVID or, something very simple in terms of health. So just having that way of using a daily conversation around what is HIV AIDS as a normal conversation as the sky is blue.
Natural and not a pressing issue that, we all can relate to and somehow help. But that is all. I thank you both.
Thank you.
Tonight, and to everything that we are representing.
Public service announcement. Not all Black individuals or Black males are the same.
I feel like they're already judging me before I even open my mouth. I know that they're already thinking something negative.
Sometimes I am afraid as a Black male. Depending on the way that I dress or where I am, if I'm wearing baggier clothes or a tall tee, I definitely see the potential for me to be racially profiled.
There's a different onus that comes on me as a Black male than it does on anybody else.
I remember being a young kid, no niggers, no Mexicans, no dogs allowed. We clearly didn't know our place. They had to teach us that we were Black.
be the man I was before? If I only had my name, would my life be worth a little more? If I only had my name, across the seas, would you understand? If I only had my name, would you reach out a healing hand? If I only had my name, my name, my name, my name. If I only had my name.
What do I do when I'm pulled over by the police? I don't want to be an accident. I have no desire to be a statistic. So I'll put my hands up on the steering wheel. I'll put my hands on the dashboard. I'll open the window and put my hands so they can see my hands. So I'm making sure, I want to make the police officer as comfortable as he can that this person is not an issue. So I'm very deferential. I'm respectful to him, and I am probably crossing my toes at the same time and praying, because that scenario could piss somebody off, and just like that, I could be an accident. And the story would be I was threatening, and I don't have any desire to be in that story. I have a daughter to take care of, and that's my first priority. It's important to make sure that children of color can advocate for themselves. I want our voice to be heard.
I went to all-white school, and first grade I was told that I should be a slave. Parents told me, they said, you are different. You are a black man. We've had problems in our history. You're gonna have to work harder to be successful. When I was young, police murdered my cousin, so I've always been wary with police. I was actually walking one day back from downtown, and police stopped me and my friends, asked my friends, do you know this kid, or were you with him the entire night? He looks like a suspect in a case we're looking for. And started asking me questions. And I literally did nothing wrong that entire night. Like, I was with my friends that entire night. I felt like it was stereotyping, profiling. I wish people would see past stereotypes and see you for the person you are, the human being you are, the content of your character.
Hey, hey, oh, yeah. Hey, hey. The white man thinks he has the right to define. You can take my wealth, but you can't f with my mind. You only want my success when it nurtures you. But I have twice the love of the life God gave to you to tell me what a black boy should be.
Coming from the inner city, a lot of African Americans feel like sports is the only way out. That's one thing that my dad geared me towards, of like, if you get into sports, you can get a nice scholarship and they can pay for your 4 years of college. I believe the game of dominoes was introduced to my grandfather, and then it was passed down to my dad, and then my dad taught me. So I think it was almost one of those generational things. And I do know that dominoes was this way of my dad teaching me how to count money and not people taking advantage of your money as well as life skills.
No one man can possess the land. No one man can possess another. No one man can possess his own life. Life is a gift from God, a gift that she has given to live, love, and give away. When we no longer need that gift, we must release it. How you live it is up to you, but we all must. This song is not mine. It was given to me as I will give it to you. I will not copyright this song in his world, for if I copyright this song in his world, he will take most of what is mine for his world.
I was born in the 50s and grew up in Southeast Texas. And I don't know if I was black then. I was probably colored, trying to go back to Texas after living several years in the North. And I had a childhood friend who had also lived in the North, and we ended up trying to go back to Texas at the same time. But then we thought, oh God, wouldn't it be great to go to the beach? Boy, we haven't done this since we were very, very young. It didn't take long before the police came up to us and said that we were breaking the law, and we didn't know what that was. They said we had a glass bottle on the beach. We looked around and there were other people with all kinds of bottles. But it then dawned on me, oh, they were all white people.
Reminds me of a Langston Hughes poem. It was Let America Be America Again. And one of the things that he says in that poem is that America never was America to me. Where I think there's an idea of what an American dream is, and it's not afforded to everyone. And I remember feeling very overwhelmed when hearing about Mike Brown, when hearing about Tamir Rice, when hearing about Trayvon Martin, because it's like, what could I do? What is it that I can offer? I'm one person. What is it that I can say that would move what feels like an enormous mountain that so many other people have tried to move, and so many other people have looked at, and people are refusing to confess that it exists, refusing to acknowledge that racism, that anti-blackness, that white supremacy exists, that you can take a people, snatch a people from their land, that you can profit off of them for hundreds of years, and that there's not any type of reparation which needs to be done. And then there's a discounting of history, to not look at how not long ago slavery was, and the lack of effort to heal the generational trauma, to undo the generational trauma. The people that live and interact with white supremacy, with anti-blackness, with racism every single day, their testimonies are discounted as though they're not valid. There can be Black sociologists, Black scientists, Black psychologists that talk about the effects of racism, Black authors, Black thinkers, and it's as though their testimonies aren't valid because their Blackness stains their credibility. All of our stories, everything that we should strive and aspire to be like, is Eurocentric. To see people viewing success as having a seat at the table of whiteness, like, one day we're gonna get those Oscars, one day we're gonna get those Grammy nominations, and I'm like, why are we still striving towards that? Who said that that was the standard of excellence? If these institutions have never recognized Blackness, have only ever recognized excellence from a Eurocentric approach, why would we look to them as sort of some standard of achievement? Integration is not the same as freedom. Like, assimilation is not freedom. Like, those things are not necessarily liberation. You can just assimilate into whiteness and go on and not have any kind of freedom, because you'll constantly be proving yourself. You'll constantly be saying, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, look, I can talk like you, rather than just validating the expressions which already exist and are beautiful and are valuable contributions, and have been over the history of the entire world.
Things consumed by you, things I cannot understand. In a far off distant land, maybe in a different past, our love was meant to last. But in this land I don't belong, where love for self's no longer strong. Child of free spirit will always roam. When I hear her music, takes me home. Afro blue, left not knowing what to do. I am cursed by what I see. Have I love enough for three? Colonial slaves under duress, another child left fatherless. They cut down our family tree to make slave ships to cross the sea. Child of free spirit will always roam. When I hear her music, takes me home. Afro blue, Afro blue, Afro blue.
Black men have feelings, they have mothers, they have fathers, they have a history, they have a family, they have a future. We have minds, we think about things, we feel things. Black men are people, are humans, just like you, just like everybody else.
Hey, I'm Reese, I'm from London, and I will be interviewing Trent Williams today. So we just watched Trent's film. I am a film production person as well in the UK, so I think, you know, it's really nice to see Trent's film and to start to unpick some of the metaphors and some of the reasoning behind some of the imagery. Something that stuck out to me was the interviews in church. So I think I'll bring Trent on and we'll have a little speak about that. So Trent, for your piece, how was the process of the film? How did you find it from the start to kind of having a finished product?
Yeah, I want to first thank Dwayne Cyrus for opening this space for Black men to actually have this space to speak and talk about their work. So it's amazing that we have this space that we can actually talk and speak about our work. Black Stains, the process of creating Black Stains was a big collaborative process. And in that collaborative process, I worked with a filmmaker who's based in Tallahassee, Florida. Her name is Tiffany Reinert. And in that process, we did a lot of talking as well as a lot of community outreach showings, as well as film showings to edit, as well as the process of getting to the process that you actually saw tonight in Black Stains. It was done in 2 iterations. So at first we named the project Black Man Project, which I thought that was a broad topic, but through different conversations, that's how we got to Black Stains and different community outreach events and talking to different people, and we got to Black Stains. Yeah, so.
Amazing. The people who featured in the film, were they all kind of people who you knew, or did you kind of outreach and get people and tell their kind of stories?
Yeah, I'm an assistant professor of dance here at the University of Florida. So majority of the people that are in the film were former students who were in the dance program at the University of Florida. One is my colleague who is on the theater side. And then we got a lot of community people who spoke about their different experiences being profiled as Black men in today's society. So that's where a lot of those came from.
Amazing. And how do you see Black Stains developing in the future? Is it something that you would like to continue into another film or another perspective of kind of how it is kind of now? Is there any future goals for Black Stains?
Yeah, we'd like to actually have more sessions where we go into different community settings, where we show different police in training sites so they can actually be trained as they look at African American men in a different light instead of the way that they currently look at them. So it's a teaching tool. Hopefully we use this film, and it's told, we think, very well through movement. So it's a way for them to actually start to question, as well as to start looking at what is the problems in our society and the systemic problems that we currently have.
Amazing. Also, I really enjoyed the soundscape of the film. How did you come to, is that also your own vocals on the soundscape?
No, it's actually, I collaborate with an artist, Fuki Zakati, who he does a lot of work surrounding sound, and a lot of the pieces were originally composed for the work as well as for the specific settings. And so we had a lot of conversations as well as a lot of collaborative discussion about how we wanted to shape the set as well as the mood in each moment that happened in the film. So he came with different ideas. We went back to the drawing board and said, no, that doesn't work, that works. So it was a lot of like deleting and coming back to the board and really finding what actually made sense for the actual moment and and creating the environment that we created for the film.
Amazing. I think definitely as a young aspiring filmmaker, it's definitely really inspirational to see something that has so much heart and so much movement in the stillness also. And the journey you created with these dancers and the speakers hand in hand with the soundscape was absolutely beautiful. So thank you very much for allowing us to be inspired And thank you very much for being so open with your answers as well.
Thank you so much, Reese.
Cool.